E.T. movie, Isaac Asimov's Foundation. The Encyclopedia Galactica is the Tizov worm. They don't come from the Star Wars galaxy. They come from a different galaxy. So that doesn't help your fucking thing at all. Now, back to our program. But yes, is it a coincidence? Yeah! Yeah, it is! Next, Star Trek. Oh, goody. There are a lot of things that seem similar in the Star Wars and Star Trek, but many of them are probably coincidence. For instance, there's a Death Star, which has a laser that can destroy a planet, while in Enterprise, aliens called the Bindi also have a spherical ship with a similar destructive laser. But that's just two evil peoples liking ball-shaped spaceships. But Star Trek has specifically mentioned Princess Leia's planet of Alder on several occasions, including episodes in Deep Space Nine and Next Generation. The Millennium Falcon does a flyby in Star Trek First Contact movie, while a lone R2 unit is seen hurtling through space in Star Trek Into Darkness. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and explain this. Why? Because there is a very good reason for it. One, Star Trek takes place in our galaxy, in our future. So guess what there is in the future? Still Star Wars. It still exists. So when a fan of Star Wars, by now a very old series, maybe even not dead, maybe Disney's still making the movies, if you have a hyper fan of Star Wars and they discover a new planet, do you think they'd be like, I'm gonna name it after Star Wars? They're the ones naming planets. The scientists of the future, the nerds of the future, are the ones naming planets. So of course they're gonna be like, Star Wars! Yay! Alderaan! I hope it doesn't get blown up. Oh, please don't get blown up. The R2 unit is probably somebody that made a robot, made it look like R2-D2, because again, nerds and Star Wars go hand in hand. Yeah. So scientists that makes a robot might have seen Star Wars and be like, I'm gonna make that. Same thing with the Millennium Falcon. Nerds, Star Wars. Maybe it's a nerd that has a lot of money and it's like, I want to make the Millennium Falcon work. Otherwise, if they were in the same universe, why the hell is everyone in Star Trek using phasers and everyone in Star Wars using lasers? Now, there are lasers in Star Trek, but they're considered low tech. They're a step below phasers. And we don't see any aliens of the Star Trek universe in Star Wars, or any of the Star Wars alien in Star Trek. Maybe we do, but they're tiny, tiny little cameos. Whereas we know that all the aliens in Star Trek are spread the fuck out, and all the aliens in Star Wars are spread the fuck out. Also, we know that Star Trek is in a socialism type government. Well, of the Galactic Federation. They're a socialist type government. Whereas in Star Wars, it is a democratic government. And it goes from a democratic government to a monarchy. To an actual empire. And I'm doubting it's going to be going from an empire to socialism. Again, I think it's probably going to go back to a democracy. And they obviously use money. We know they use money. In Star Trek, they only use money to deal with other aliens. In Star Wars, they use credits for everything. So, no. Next is... Soul Calibur 4. Set in the 17th century on Earth, I guess I should point out the fourth installment of the popular fighting video game Soul Calibur featured a guest appearance from not just Darth Vader, but also Yoda and Starkiller. The protagonist... Oh my god, Starkiller. Why... the protagonist from the Force Unleashed games, one of the worst fucking Star Wars games of all mankind. It goes against what says in the movies. It's a dumb game. It's a hack and slash game. The gameplay is really fun. The storyline is shit. The storyline is shit. Supposedly, 3 Jedi feel a disturbance in the Force on Earth, and all take a trip to investigate it. While the feeling a Force disturbance is in an entirely different galaxy isn't the most absurd idea in the Star Wars universe, it makes more sense if they live in the same galaxy, so they sense a problem just like Obi-Wan senses the destruction of Alderaan in A New Hope. If the Jedi feel Force disturbances in other galaxies, it's even more absurd. They couldn't sense the secret Sith Master who was sitting 20 feet away from them from the vehicles. Okay, they couldn't sense the Sith Master sitting 20 feet away from him because he was using the Force to cloak himself. You know, like Yoda does on fucking Dagobah. He's sitting there cloaking himself so the Emperor doesn't fucking find him. Why wouldn't he do that? And really quickly, what planet does it take place on? So it doesn't say that anywhere. Yeah, I can't find anywhere that it says that Soul Calibur takes place on Earth. And if it does, that means that on Earth, in the 17th century, this guy, the person that writes this article, is claiming that lizardmen existed, that the Soul Calibur itself existed, that there were armies of demons that fought us, that fought humanity. That's a terrible point. Using Soul Calibur 4 as your point for it taking place on Earth. Number 1, where does it say the Soul Calibur takes place on Earth? Number 2, that's ridiculous. Number 2 is just, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It is a single ridiculous. Number 7, Monsters and Aliens from George Lucas. This book of Star Wars and other Lucasfilm movie concepts are art-included short fiction. One particular story featured a tale of 2 Duros aliens, a coup of which are shown in A New Hope. A couple of which are shown in A New Hope's cantina scene, who are captured by human beings from a mysterious planet named Uthar. Shortly after their marriage, this story is related in a tabloid magazine called The Galactic Gossip, which later the book describes a celebrity-filled vector party in which a singer Madonna is included. Okay, so I want to read just a part of this again. Lucasfilm movie concepts included short fiction. So the short fiction in which 2 Duros are found on a planet that are captured on a planet called Uthar is just as good as this fan theory that I found of Voldemort versus Lord Vader. They are just as likely. They're just as good. They're just as good. Who the fuck made this? Seriously! Oh my god, this is one of the dumbest theories I've ever had to go through. Number 8, Alien Exodus. In 1994, and by the way, I'm going to link the Voldemort versus Vader. I'm going to read this afterwards, because this honestly looks a little bit awesome. I mean, it looks a little bit ridiculous, but it also looks a little bit awesome. In 1994, Lucasfilms seems to have approved a trilogy of expanded universe novels by Arthur Robert J. Sawyer. They were canceled, kind of. I'll explain in a minute. But the fact that Lucas approved this speaks volumes as to how close he came to approving this part of the Star Wars. Why I keep saying the Star Wars? The second book would have included detailed history of mankind leaving Earth in the 25th century, while the first book, titled Alien Exodus, would have started Cosmos Hender, the leader of the human slaves on planet Forlanor, part of the Varlian Empire, and freeing his people so that they could spread across the galaxy, as well as revealing the origins of the Force and long lineage of the Skywalker name. Also, it appears the modern humanity would have basically turned into a society revealed by George Lucas' first film, TXH 1138. Before setting out into space, making it a part of the Star Wars ancient history as well. At some point, the publisher Ace decided to release the books as the Alien Chronicles and dropped Star Wars connections entirely. And Sawyer dropped out. Eventually, Deborah Chester took over and wrote them as a trilogy, but yeah, this almost happened, and you can read most of it about the insanity over the Star Wars wiki. So, you're going to cite something that didn't get made into a Star Wars book as something that proves that Star Wars takes place in our galaxy. Okay, let's look at this. Let's look at some of the other stories that did make it into the Star Wars galaxy and see how dumb this theory is. This piece of proof. The R5 unit, the Jedi droid, Skippy the Jedi droid, that made it in to the Star Wars universe. That is a thing. This was so bad that George Lucas even went, oh no, not that. No. And he said no. Skippy the Jedi droid, good enough. Good enough to make it into the Star Wars universe. This, not good enough. No, not making it into the Star Wars universe. The Star Wars Christmas special is part of the Star Wars expanded universe. And this couldn't cut the line. What does that say? Somebody tried to make the connection of Earth and Star Wars. George Lucas said no. Star Wars Christmas special. The Caravan of Courage is part of the Star Wars expanded universe. And this is not. I think that kind of says enough to say that Star Wars and Earth aren't connected. And it looks like, yeah, that's number 8, so that's the end of it. Thank the gads. Usually when these sorts of discussions come up, the big point people go to first is the word hell is exactly the same way that we use it. Okay. That, right there, is actually kind of a good point. Han Solo says hell. I'll see you in hell. He says it, meaning that hell is part of the Star Wars universe. But almost every religion, not all of them, almost every religion has some form of hell. And considering we know that, well, maybe we don't know, well, maybe you don't know, but I know, that Star Wars doesn't take place in English, it actually takes place in an alien language that's translated into English for our benefit. Hell is probably the same thing as that. Say, it might be the same thing as Hades. It might be the same thing, or not Hades, the underworld in the Greek mythology that has Hades as the dude. It could be the same thing as the Viking version of hell. It could be the same thing as any of them. Really, any of them. And they just use the word hell because it's a convenient translation. Brought up unless this was something EU, they explained it away. Also, I've never read a huge amount of the EU, and honestly, blah, blah, blah. And I distinctively remember a series of books aimed at purely children. They had pictures and everything that had the main character playing with Star Wars toys in his bedroom, which implies that in some areas of the Galaxy universe, the events of Star Wars are seen as fiction until it is revealed that they actually happened. Again, that's actually kind of a good point. But again, it's a children. It's a purely aimed at purely children. So I'm not going to count that unless we count at what was that book? Darth Vader and Son, and that kind of stuff. Unless we're going to count those as EU now. I don't think we're going to count the stuff aimed at purely at children. Anyways, it's time for me to go over my personal thing that completely disproves this. If this theory was correct, that would mean the very first words in all of the Star Wars movies, every single one of them, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, are lies. That is not true. The very first words. And if those words are true, that means that Star Wars isn't a documentary on a galaxy far, far away a long time ago. And I think we all know that George Lucas is the type of documentarian that wouldn't bullshit about that kind of stuff. Are we saying that Star Wars isn't a documentary anymore? Because if it isn't, then this guy is full of shit. Then this theory is full of shit. If Star Wars is not a documentary, then this theory is dumb. Then this theory makes not a fucking lick of sense. Because it would mean the very first words in all of the Star Wars universe are a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Now, if it is fiction, then we have to take those words as fact. Because it's the movie telling us that it's a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. So it has to be a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. It doesn't make sense otherwise. It makes no sense otherwise. Let's look at a couple more comments. The encyclopedia happened to be created in Asimov's Foundation series as one of the major goals of the Foundation in order to keep the knowledge from falling of the Empire from being lost. What? No, the encyclopedia never mattered at all. The distillation of everything that was wrong with science at the time that the first galactic empire fell, codified, and fossilized. It was just an excuse to get a land grant for Terminus, so Selden could set up the Foundation at the far end of the galaxy. ETA, I'm not sure what it says about me that I'm disputing minutia in an article dedicated to the minutia, and it's probably nothing good. Yeah, no, he has a good point. I'm kind of doing the exact same, but he actually brings up a very good point. I'm going to go ahead and end it here. This took a lot longer than I thought it would. How long have I been doing this? 45 minutes? Not too long. I might be able to cut this down to about half an hour. Maybe I'll make it 2 episodes. I don't think I will. I'll try not to. I want to make this 1 episode. Anyways, I will talk to you guys in the next episode. And please, again, I love fan theories. If for no other reason, they give me something to argue about. And I enjoy arguing about things like this. I love arguing about Star Wars. If you guys have a fan theory you want me to look at, send me a link. I will happily look at it. I will happily go through it. I'll happily either agree with it and find more evidence for it, or I'll debunk it because it's stupid. I hope that you guys enjoy these little tirades that I go on. I'm going to start doing these more. I think I'm going to make this a weekly thing where I go through a Star Wars fan theory. As well, I'm trying to put out episodes of other stuff, such as Call of Cthulhu and games, once a week as well, so I want to start releasing stuff bi-weekly. If there's anything that you guys would like to see me play, or see me go over and debunk, let me know down in the comments below. I will happily do so. And I will talk to you guys in the next episode. I'm not sure what else. Oh yeah, please, if you did like this, if you agreed with me or disagreed with me, let me down in the comments below so we can have a discussion about it. I truly love discussing Star Wars. I always have and I always will. If you like this, if you like this debunk, please click the like button down below. If you disliked it, please click the like button anyways, because I'm doing the thing. And you know what? If you are able to convince me that it is in our galaxy, write it down in the comments. And you know what? If you're able to convince me, I will do a completely another episode saying that I was wrong. I'm happy to do so. I doubt I'll ever will have to do that, but I'll do it. Oh, if you guys want to see more Star Wars debunks, please subscribe to me. As I said, I'll try to be doing them at least once a week now. And I'll talk to you guys in the next episode. Always remember that if you need scary monsters, look to the Yuzhong Vong, because their genetic scientists are some of the best for making terrifying creatures.